The
Elitist
Pizza
podcast.
And this trailer is really shows one of the bigger problems I have with Hollywood. It's not like a big thing where I'm like, oh my gosh, it's so corrupt. I mean, it kind of is, but that's not my problem right now. My problem is that none of these people understand like the teenage experience.
Yeah.
It's most people don't like they don't understand the high school experience. Like they're writing like high school movies and TV shows like they would have written them 20 years ago, except they have cell phones now.
Yep, pretty much. Yep.
I mean, not cell phones, but they have like smartphones now. It's literally the same thing. Like the beginning of that one, you saw like kids throwing a football outside of school in the beginning of the school, and it's like, oh my god, you got the jocks. You got to be cool to fit in, and it's like,
Yeah.
I mean, kind of, but like nobody really cares all that much.
Yeah, it's really not that big
Like
of a
at
deal
least in
anymore.
my school.
Yeah.
I don't think it's all that big of a deal. Like people just like they didn't really care. There was never a person in my school that I thought was like, oh my gosh, this is the popular guy.
Yeah, I mean, so in ninth grade, I went to a school in like a pretty big school in a pretty poor place. And then 10th to 12th, I went to like kind of a special school. You had to opt in, and it was like a high, high rigor. And I graduated with like 30 people. So my high school experience is somewhat unique. But from my experience at like
Oh, okay.
the place I went to in ninth grade, I mean, that really wasn't that big of a deal. Like, those popularity and stuff really didn't matter. Um, I don't know. I mean, it was never, yeah, it was never, I didn't have any, like, I mean, I guess the football kids were kind of just seen as, like, yeah, they're the football kids. It wasn't like, wow, they're so cool. It was most people thought they were, like, arrogant and dumb,
Yeah,
which tends to be the
exactly.
case.
That's how I went at my school. I actually found out. One of my good friends that I was hanging out with. I actually found out that he was like I didn't even know who was popular at my school till like senior year. It was like the prom voting thing, and a really good friend of mine won prom king, and I was like, oh, I
Oh,
didn't
wow.
know he was all that popular. I had no idea. And but it
I
just
was,
goes to show you that like nobody
apparently,
really cares.
apparently at my school I was actually pretty popular. I only like realized this towards the end, but or at least infamous. I would have people in like lower grades as I was like a junior and senior, because my school is the school I graduated from was 6 through 12, and um
Right.
like I would have people, oh, you're Evan, right? And I'd be like, yeah. Oh, okay, okay. I'm like, all right, I have no idea who you are, but have a good day. I mean, I wouldn't say that, but that's what I thought. Like, what a weird thing to say to someone. Like, I guess
Yeah.
that
Just
they had
walk up.
heard
Oh,
about
you're
me or
Evan, right?
something. They're like, oh, this guy matches the description. Let me ask him if this is him. Like, what a weird thing to do to somebody. It's just like,
Oh yeah, absolutely.
so, um,
But yeah, I think a lot of these, it's like a bunch of old people. Like
yeah,
they have no idea what high school I'm saying experience, but it's not really an experience. You just kind of just go to school. Like nobody really cares all that much about who's the popular person. I had no idea who the most popular person at our school was.
I
I had
wonder.
no, I mean, and granted, I was gone for a little bit, but it was like
Mhm.
it wasn't all that important to be like, oh my god, I'm the most popular dude at the school. Like I found out
Yeah,
one of my friends was again he probably I guess if you win prom king you're probably the most popular guy at school.
hmm
I had no idea he was the most popular guy at school, and I was hanging out with him, and I had no idea until it was funny. He wore this like really ridiculous outfit too. Like I gave him this
that's nice.
poncho, and he was wearing like this weird cowboy hat, and everybody else was wearing like suits and stuff, and they were like announcing the prom king, and they announced his name, and I was like, oh wow, this is what a shock. I mean, not saying I think he's a loser or
Yeah.
anything, but I just had no idea. I didn't care. Nobody really cares all that much.
I wonder to what extent you and I are just like unique insofar as, because I think you and I, we care less about our social status than the average person. So I wonder to what extent we really aren't representative of the average person. and most people's high school experience was more related to their social status.
I guess some people I definitely think people care about what others think about them more than we do.
Yeah.
But I don't think a lot of people's social status was like all that tied. At least a lot of people I talked to, their social status was all that tied to their high school experience because it's like nobody really cares. It's not like, well, there's a couple. You always have that guy who's like, you're friends with him for a little bit, and then it's like all of a sudden maybe he picks up a sport or something, starts hanging out with more popular people, and then like he almost thinks he's better than you. And
Yeah,
it's
that's
like,
true.
stop being weird around my new friends. It's like I'm not being weird. I'm just being myself.
Yeah.
But other than that, like not too many people care about that.
What are you doing? Not being subscribed to the Elitist Pizza Podcast on Twitter, Twitch, and YouTube? Do it. Now. Give us money.
If you liked that clip, make sure to check us out on Twitch at Elitist Pizza Podcast, where we stream the entire podcast. See you guys there.